And we're coming back to you live from the recording booth. I'm Sean.
I'm Zach.
And we'd like to welcome our very special guest star, my ex-coworker. What's her name again?
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to all the millions of 5 people watching.
I'm Nicole. I am Sean's favorite ex-coworker. We plan to have a psychology class together so we could continue our friendship forever.
That's so cute.
There were so many lies in this. Sean, go ahead and editing. Every time she lies, put a ding at the end of that. Just like a bing.
Let's get to how high the counter can go.
Yeah. Well, except for I won't put up a counter because that's too much work.
Sean, put up a counter.
You know what? Screw you, man.
Future Sean, put in a counter right
Sean,
now.
ignore him. You don't have to listen to this man.
Yes, you do. I own you.
No, he's right. But okay.
Okay.
All right,
Just
so we
give it
had
up.
a nice
Perfect.
teaser at the end of the last episode. It's
Yeah, what were you
hilarious.
saying?
It's hilarious because she was complaining that she doesn't know what we're going to talk about, and we literally had a teaser, which we never do.
True. I don't know. You didn't tell me to watch the last episode.
Yeah, there was reasons for that. Because I didn't want you to hear the teaser.
So what are we talking about?
That's what we're talking about?
Yeah, so that's okay. I figured you would. Everyone at home has been waiting on the edge of their seats for the past 5 days for this to come out. Doesn't it feel like it's been forever since we last did this?
Dude, it's been a long freaking weekend.
Yeah. Anyways, whatever. So in my Humanities Through the Arts class, we watched a documentary made by Banksy. Who knows Banksy?
I do.
You know Banksy.
Yeah.
Tell us who Banksy is.
He's a little artist man, isn't he?
He's one of the crazies.
He's not one of the... We're out of psychology right now, Zach.
Okay, my bad.
We're on art, so yes, probably. But he's a British street artist.
Yeah.
He did really cool stuff. Sean put some pictures up. Cool, great. So, he made this documentary about this guy whose name is Terry. He's like this French guy. Crap, I don't remember. But he originally just had a clothing store in LA, I think, or New York or somewhere. I really don't remember very much. Let me just get to the important stuff. He got a camera and he just became obsessed with filming everything. And then he discovered street art. And so he would go to these street artists and be like, hey, can I film you while you do your thing? And so the street artists, at first, they're like, okay, this is kind of weird, but our art is temporary. So this will be good. And Terry was saying I'll make a documentary kind of thing. So your art is preserved in a way, that kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So he begins filming street artists like crazy, traveling the world, filming them all over the place. Banksy was one of the ones he struggled to get close to because Banksy, his whole thing is remaining anonymous. Yeah, that's his thing. No one knows who he is.
Right.
Legitimately. So, along the way, he eventually comes in contact with Banksy and starts helping him out. He helps him with this show that Banksy does in which an elephant is painted entirely with this finger paint. It's crazy. And the show was huge. Celebrities were there. It was a huge thing. So then, after that show changed street art. Because suddenly people were buying street artists' work for millions of dollars, but the street artists weren't getting it, especially Banksy, because he's anonymous, right? So that changed street art, and Banksy was like, okay, this is a good time for us to lay low, but Terry, you have all that footage, now is a good time to release that documentary. Terry knows nothing about making films. And basically, he works on it for a while and then comes back to Banksy and shows it to him. And it's an hour and a half of just unwatchable garbage. So kind of like our videos, but longer. Let's get it.
Nice.
All right. So, but honestly, they showed a little bit of it. It's just loud sounds, explosions, random clips from people who've been asked questions, but not the questions themselves.
Oh my
just
gosh.
it's madness.
It's terrible.
Weird edits, just very 90s things happening. It's crazy. So Banksy's like, all right, you know what, Terry, give me all your footage. I'll figure this out. You go back home and do some street art. He just wants to get Terry out of the way, basically. Go back home, do some street art, start your own thing. So Terry does that. He goes under the name Mr. Brainwash because all of society is brainwashing us or something, right? And he starts going crazy. He remortgages his house so he can buy a studio, so he can get full-time employees working for him. And essentially what this ended with was a show that was like easily like 10 times bigger than Banksy's in LA. I bet if you just like Googled Mr. Brainwash show, you would find it. Like, it was huge. Like, and he'd hired so many people. He built like this giant statue out of televisions. And then, and it was huge. Like, tons of people went to it. But what I wanted to ask from all of this was, this is the interesting thing to me. He basically got that show to work because he went to the street artists he knew and said, can you tell people to go to this? So, like, nobody knew who Mr. Brainwash was, but he went to Banksy and said, can you tell people to go to this? And so if Banksy says, go to that,
people are going to go.
People went.
Right.
And then people are buying his work and he's getting the money from it. And he doesn't, like, honestly, he would just, his work is so strange because he would just take like pictures of other people's works and write a note next to it on how to change it, kind of, and give it to one of his employees and say, do this. So it's his idea, but he's not even executing it. And that was like the entire gallery. It was his ideas loosely, but none of his execution really.
Right.
Okay, so
I'm looking at his stuff. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good stuff. Go,
Yeah.
Sean, put some stuff up. You can show that to Zach too. It's some pretty cool stuff, but like, it's not even like I said. It's all like employees and his loose ideas, kind of. So the question my professor asked us was, what is art worth? Or what gives art worth? But the question that I was left with was, is Mr. Brainwash an artist? Thoughts?
Okay, my first reaction is no.
Okay.
Because I think it's one thing to have an idea, but it's another thing to actually do it. Because, like, I have the idea of, like, drawing some crazy figure, right? Or some monster, but, like,
being able to
it doesn't exist until I make it exist. If somebody else takes, like, or say I hired someone to do it, they're the artist, which gave me the art. But I'm not the artist for the idea, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted because I love creating art, but I feel like I'm less creative. It's like harder for me to come up with my own stuff. I'd rather look at something and then like recreate it and just execute it. So does that mean I'm an artist by copying people? Or is an artist a combination of both? Like a real artist? Because I'm like a copier. I'm good at making something look like somebody else already did. Yeah. But like, and I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. What is an artist?
See,
I'm not sure.
Because my thoughts that came were like, so he's basically like a director of this. So like, let's take like movies for an example. There's so many artists involved with that.
Yeah.
But like most of what is attributed to the movie goes to produced by, directed by.
Right.
But like, how much did the director do? I mean, obviously he was very influential on the set, but like with the editing, he was definitely probably influential there, but like he was
telling people what to do. Yeah. He wasn't doing it.
He wasn't doing it. So is he the artist there?
I feel like the director, like, I feel like you can be creative without being an artist.
Oh. Whoa. Okay.
And I feel like the director is the one who brings all of that talent and art together and, like, just brings the whole project together, right? I don't feel like he's actually the artist behind all of it.
So what is the definition of the combination? Because some people are the creative mind and they are the ones that execute. Like Banksy, he thinks of it all and does it all. So what is he if not a true artist? Is there a higher word to describe?
That is a good question. I feel like me personally, I just say he would be an artist then.
Right.
But I feel like you can be creative without having to be an artist.
Okay, so it's kind of like a rectangle and a square distinction. Like, you know what I mean? This is what I always go back to. Like, a rectangle isn't a square, but a square is a rectangle.
I just wanted to see if you were able to say that.
Did I say it right?
I don't know. I didn't pay
Oh,
attention.
shoot. I'm
It
like,
sounded good.
Fact
Sean,
check
play it back.
me. Fact
Play it
check
back.
me. I don't know.
If it was a lie, put the ding.
I'm like,
Put up the counter. You know what? We're using the counter.
Yes, the
Oh
counter.
my God. Well, either way, it's one of those. Either a square is also a rectangle, but a rectangle's not a square, or it's okay. It's one of those. I learned it in like elementary school. Okay, you guys. Jeez, I wasn't prepared for this, but it could be like someone that is executing the art is an artist, but like the creative mind behind it may not be. But if you have both, then you're also an artist.
Wait, okay. Isn't a square a rectangle? But a rectangle isn't a square because a rectangle doesn't have the same length of each side.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing I said, so I was right.
just
I'm just saying. The first thing I said, go with that.
So the second one is a
Okay.
thing.
Second one's
so,
a thing.
so
Oh,
okay. So
my gosh.
if I'm understanding both of you correctly, we're saying that an artist is someone who is creative and can execute, while
Or can just execute.
or can just execute.
But the creativity is also an important part of it.
I feel like an artist that could execute maybe isn't an artist either. Because like an example, because like you mentioned you're good at like copying things, right?
Yes.
I can do the same thing. Like if I look at something, I'm like, oh, okay, well that line goes like curves this much this way.
Yeah, you just
and I
have to
can
make
copy
it
that
match.
line just by looking at it. But because I can recreate a picture, it doesn't mean I'm an artist.
How do you feel about that, Nicole?
Ouch.
I would
I'm
consider
like-
myself an artist.
I could
Ow,
tell, like,
ow.
I knew as soon as you started talking that Nicole was just gonna be like, oof.
No,
Sorry.
but no, it's okay because I tell myself that a lot too. Because, like, my best friend has a very creative mind and then like executes that in her own way, and I can execute things very well. I could have a really good Etsy shop if I wanted because I'm like, oh, I can make a cute whale. You know what I mean? But it's like I copied it from a picture, and so it's not really creative. But this is what I was going to ask: is that some people, if they have like the creativity and they have the ideas, they just might not be absolutely trained in art, which is something that you can learn. If you're taking classes and if you're learning, you can become highly able to execute things. So does it really all start with the need for the creativity? Is that what's going to make an artist? And the originality.
So the creativity in your mind would be the seed
That's what I'm
that
thinking.
makes this possible. But then you have to be able to learn how to execute it in whatever way
Yeah.
you want to learn how
Well, because some people are just naturally born with the talent, right? And some
Sure.
people can start drawing when they're like 10 and it already looks good. But they might not have like the creative originality going along with it. They could maybe create things, but they might not have the creativity. But if you're born with that creativity, you can learn how to art.
So this is an interesting concept because like there are the people who are just naturally gifted with this.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make them an artist automatically?
I don't know.
So
I'll look up the definition.
as we've been talking, I feel like for me, I feel like you have to have both.
Okay.
I feel like you have to have both.
That really feels like a need for you, huh?
Yeah, because like, say like someone thinks they're not creative, but they're really good at like they can draw pretty well, but they don't think they're creative. You can take steps to like be better at brainstorming ideas, right? Like you can find a passion that you can be creative about, and then it brings me to an idea: does art have to be unique?
Whoa. So I will say,
I don't know.
this is important. That's an important question because Mr. Brainwash's stuff,
Is stolen.
it's a lot of it isn't actually that unique. Like it just looks a lot like a lot of other artists who he'd been filming before.
Right, and that's why I originally said no, because he was an artist. Because I felt like he was just
And this
taking
is,
someone else's idea.
this is another interesting
Almost.
thing. I forgot to mention this. He promised the first 200 people at that event that they would get a unique, one-of-a-kind print. Okay? And the way he made those prints is he printed out 200 pictures of Elvis and then sat in a wheelchair and had someone push him while he sprayed all down the line, just up and down. So each of them is unique, but it's just random spray paint.
Interesting. I just looked up the definition of an artist.
Okay.
And it says a person who produces paintings or drawings as a profession or hobby.
That's a terrible definition.
I know.
Throw it away.
Beyond.
But it like keeps going. A person who practices any of the various creative arts, sculptor, novelist, poet, filmmaker.
It said creative arts.
Exactly, but it doesn't say that they have to be original. It just says that they're producing paintings or drawings or any of these creative arts, not that they didn't steal it from anyone else.
I feel like it's one thing to be influenced by someone else's art and create your own art, rather than being like taking their art and then just putting a tiny twist on it and then claiming it's your new creation.
It's plagiarism.
So, where was I? Where was I gonna? I was gonna say something so cool it was gonna blow all of your minds. Oh, here we go. I knew if I just like talked myself up, it would work. It's actually not that. Okay, so
high expectations here, Sean.
I was gonna ask because that definition narrows art down still.
Yeah.
Because a creative mind, what is creativity? It is the ability or the thought process that allows you to create a new idea.
Yeah.
So we don't generally think of a person like an engineer as an artist. But like, is an engineer an artist? If they're innovating something new?
Wow.
But what about the ones that just, I mean, they're like structural engineers and they just do things the way they've been done,
Okay, hear me out.
for years.
I think they can be.
Okay.
But, because like, an engineer can create something that is meant to be art.
True.
Or a building that looks aesthetically pleasing and is meant to look pleasing, that could be art.
But even if things don't look pleasing, they can still be art. So it's like,
true.
Are you creating anything? Creating anything is art?
Is
that where we're going to?
I mean,
the problem is with that is if we say everything that is created is art, we automatically say that Mr. Brainwash has created art.
Well, he has. I think it's still art. I would consider him an artist, whether or not the hardest thing for me is that he like just tells his little people what to do, but also he's the one coming up with the ideas and how to execute them. He's just having other people do it. But it doesn't mean that he couldn't.
Can I try to throw a wrench in that a little bit more?
You sure can.
Those ideas that he gives them, like I said, he just kind of like writes a note next to a thing. And the guy that they were interviewing, who's one of his employees, was like, yeah, it's usually like one or two words in broken English. So like, there's going to be a lot of interpretation that happens there.
Yeah.
See, my whole problem with this is like, example, say I give Sean a circle. It's just a circle. And I tell him to draw a line through it.
Could happen so many different ways.
Is that art?
It doesn't mean something? I feel like art has to mean something.
It doesn't, though.
I feel like it needs to, though.
Abstract art. Bunch of splats and splops everywhere.
But I feel like the only reason people are okay with abstract art is because they find meaning behind it.
Right, it's up to the interpretation of the viewer. But someone could see a circle with a line through it, and that could mean something to them. If I go like this with a little squiggle line, I'm like yin and yang, right?
Yeah.
That is art to me. So.
But even if, say, the creator didn't give the art meaning, there's still meaning in that art from the person who sees it, right?
Right, it's
they
all
get
up to
to
the
give
viewer.
it meaning, so therefore it has meaning.
So,
everything created has meaning
then,
up to the person viewing it.
So then, okay, so let me take a step back from that then.
Okay.
And going off of that, an artist or a person can create something and someone else can find meaning, and that makes it art. Is that
right.
true?
Yes, okay. Have you seen? This is so exciting.
Oh my gosh, guys!
You're never gonna invite me back on here. Have you guys seen the thing on Netflix called Abstract?
No.
Okay, well, there's this one episode I half watched like 20 minutes of. Anyways, this guy named like Olaf.
So kind of an expert.
Kind of an expert.
Just that I know everything.
Okay, stop. So this guy named Olafur, I'm pretty sure he thinks he's from like, I don't know, Iceland. I made that up. Don't fact check that.
Put a little ding
Stop. Okay, so he like would just go and like look at all these waterfalls in his homeland, wherever that was, and then he made this art exhibit where it was just water falling and like one light hitting it, and so people would go and it's like a darkish room, but it's just like a big old man-made waterfall, but they would see like a rainbow through it based on like how tall they were and like where the light was hitting. Everyone saw it differently, but it's because of like the light hitting their eyes and how it was all going, right? And so he said if no one's in the room, then there is no art, because the art is what is the people seeing it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Can sound not be art then?
I think
Can singing be art?
If a tree falls in a forest.
Oh my gosh. This is digressing.
So, okay.
Welcome to every episode of Marky Nuggs.
Honestly, we've been pretty on topic this whole time. We've done pretty good. I want to take it back because we're out of time.
Shoot.
But I want to
I
take.
have so much more to say. We
Well,
can't be out of time,
screw
Sean.
you, young man. No one cares about your opinion anyways.
Hey.
So let's take it back. Is Mr. Brainwash an artist?
No.
Zach says no.
I vote yes.
You vote yes. And the thing that I'm stuck on is actually your point that people giving the art meaning makes it art.
Yeah.
And he didn't give it meaning. And that's a problem for me.
But anyone that sees it is what's giving it meaning. It's not the person creating.
So I have a problem with meaning as well. So, anyway,
There we go.
we talk about modern art quite a bit and how much I despise it. But
Okay.
it's like the idea of, say, somebody dropped a pencil or something in a modern art museum, but then
Yes.
all of a sudden people thought that was an exhibit, and they're giving it meaning because it's just a pencil on the ground.
I
Is
could-
that pencil art? No, it's not art. It's just a pencil on the ground.
It could be. That's the thing is I like finding meaning in meaningless
Okay,
things.
honestly, I gotta say, I'm so glad you were here for this one.
Thank
I get
you.
riled.
You got Zach all riled up.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, so leave us your thoughts. I know you guys love to comment on our videos and talk to us about the things that we talk about.
Yeah, that never happened.
I'm gonna start commenting.
Well, if you don't do that, then go to some random person next to you at the very moment, whether you are in
And
class
debate
or whatever,
art.
and have an art debate with them.
Hmm.
Find out if art needs meaning, if a director of art is an artist.
What is art?
What is art?
Who is art?
Does anything matter at all? No. Buy our merch. Now.
Let's have merch.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, just look in the description of this
Yeah,
video.
yeah, it'll
You'll
be
see
there.
the
It'll
link
be
to the
there.
merch store.
Sounds good.
It's always good. It's good stuff. I'll show you some of our designs after this. They're
Great.
really good.
Well,
That's an interesting thing because we come up with the designs and we send them out to Naomi to design them.
Oh.
So are we the artists?
Oh.
I don't think so either.
no.
But you come up with it.
Yeah.
Is it not like your creativity?
We had the unique idea, but we didn't make the art itself.
But does the unique idea count for anything?
Yes.
You know what? We're going to leave you here because this will actually never end. Just want to say, Nicole, you're welcome for coming on the show.
You're
I
very
thought you were going to
welcome.
say you're
very
welcome to come anytime.
No,
Oh, no,
no,
you're
not
welcome.
anytime. Just you're welcome.
Wow, thank you for having
It's been
me.
such
Yeah.
a pleasure for
We
you
know.
to be with us.
It was. It truly was. I feel honored. Thank you, boys.
Yeah, that's right. We'll take that payment in cash.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you all so much for watching. I'm still Sean.
I'm still Zach.
I'm Nicole.
All right.
I'm
bye.
in. Yes.
She made it in.
She ruined it.
Corby didn't even make it in.
Ow! Speaking, everybody loves to speaking. Everybody loves to speak. Say that again right now.
Sorry, I made you guys feel.
Honestly, how dare you?
We're offended. Are you offended?
Oh, I'm offended.
All right,
Sean.
great. So we'll accept payment in cash.
Or you visit the merch store.
Hundreds.
I mean.
50s and hundreds.
I'm like, I think
are-
I have a $5 bill.
Okay, well
I
that's.
bought my coworker Wendy's last night.
All right. Well, you can pretend like you're a good person, but until you pay us back, we won't believe you. Time is
Okay.
money, and you wasted our time.
Pokemon cards.
So you wasted our money.
I'm so sorry. Never again.
All right, but okay. To be honest, Nicole, can we? Zach and I like to do some vocal warm-ups before. Do you mind if we do that?
No, please do.
Okay.
God.
I would love that.
Let's go ahead and. Yeah, are you ready, Zach?
I'm ready, Sean.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, and you can join in. Yeah.
Okay, do it.
It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you okay, man? He's embarrassed to do it in front of people. It's okay.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah, come on, man.
Come on. I'm dead. Come on, Zach.
Zach! Man, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna hold a grudge against you if you don't do one.
Good.
I will never forgive you for this. We talked about this. We made the plan. You're going against the plan.
I know. I can't stop laughing.
Why didn't you guys tell me about the plan?
Oh, well, the plan was to troll you a lot. So,
Oh,
you
what?
know, there's the...
Truth is, there was never actual vocal warm-ups.
How? Zach drove me home on Thursday, and we did that like the entire car ride home.
Wow.
Whew, I'm sorry I failed the plan, Sean, but that was... I couldn't keep it together, man. I tried.
At least I now have a really good Actually, okay, guys, stay quiet. How? Great. Now I have a really good sound effect to use. Just saying. So whenever someone swears on the show,
It'll just go.
yeah, you're just
Sean,
gonna
why
hear.
would you keep swearing on this show?
How?
Get it again.